Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Today, I have a great call with a Chilean expat. He's a U.S. citizen who's living in Chile, and he has questions about how he should set up his company, how he should get paid to avoid double taxation. We get into the details. I think it's a really productive call. It's pretty quick, so stay to the end, and I'll break it all down for you exactly what the key points are for this. So thank you again for your attention, and let's get to this call.
Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up.
Where are you calling from
Haven't
today?
done my taxes, I'm
From
too
Chile.
turned up.
Oh, from Chile.
Haven't
Nice.
done my taxes, I'm too turned up.
Expat in Chile.
Great. I'm in Miami, in Pat,
Yeah.
or not in.
Okay. Are you Cuban or?
No, I'm
70%?
American. I'm all American.
Well, heritage, bro. Yeah.
7 generations in the States.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Norwegian, if you want to go way back, a lot Norwegian.
No, from your videos, I think it's just maybe it's transcended into a Miami Cuban type of accent. But
My accent, my Spanish accents should be a mess, but I'm glad people understand what I'm saying. And I guess you found me on the Spanish videos, right?
yeah, a little bit. It's actually it's good practice for my Castellano. I guess how difficult it is to speak Chilean. It's like completely another version of.
Oh, the Chileans. I have some Chilean clients, but not as many as I'd like. And I don't know. I can't tell the difference that much. I put on voice notes for my wife at the end of the day sometimes because she's Panamanian, and I have her like say, "Where's this person from?" And I play a voice note from somebody from different countries, and I have her guess. It's a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for scheduling the call today. I guess you have some questions, right?
Yeah, just to get right into it. Okay, I just signed a contract. It's not an employment contract, either in the U.S. or in Chile. I'm effectively a independent representative of a U.S. company. What I'm doing is I'm setting up an AWS platform in Chile to sell merchandising and website, or like a web store for merchandise, as well as serving clients like some big CPGs and some FMCG type of clients for premiums and things like that, point of sale materials, et cetera. I originally came to Chile and for almost the same reason. And I was dealing with an investor down here, and then he went to his accountant here in Chile and said, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! You're dealing with an American and all the FATCA stuff." I'm like,
it's not that bad. Just disclose your informational stuff.
Yeah. I just think that maybe he wasn't 100%. He only knew the Chile side of things, and I don't know what his plans were, but he was looking at BVI type stuff and shell companies. And I'm like, okay, so let's not complexify the situation. But my personal situation right now is that I signed a contract as an independent rep on a personal basis. Now I'm willing to suck it up on the double taxation situation for the first few months
You don't need to pay double tax. That's not. So in the U.S., since you're a U.S. person, U.S. citizen, you have to report everything, and you can always get a credit for taxes paid in other countries, especially when you earn the income there. The problem is if you earn it like in your regular account, you have to still pay self-employment taxes.
So basically, I've looked at the IRS code and back and forth and W-8 ECI and things like that, and I can set up the LLC equivalent down here called an SPA pretty fast. And my wife's in the finance industry down here, so I can get a commercial account and without any real hassle. I think with the COVID scenarios and things like that, it's difficult to set up an LLC or even an S corp in U.S. This is where I'm trying to go, unless you tell me otherwise, because I think that I'm just in a worse position in terms of expenses and writing off things.
Well, are you paying? Do you have a lot of expenses?
It could generate into a lot of, I don't know these days, but it could generate into some travel expenses, because I do need to show product a little bit beyond a webcam. So there's going to be some travel involved. Right now, I'm just setting up the business for a big company in the United States. I was doing government. I did all the U.S. Census premiums, for example, a large amount of work. Mm-hmm. But they've never dealt anything in Latin America. So I said, okay, let's take baby steps and start with Mexico first, because I've been working in Latin America all my life in this same industry, like 20 years. Actually, I lived in Miami for 20 years, so I know Miami very well also.
Okay.
my wife is Chilean, and we decided, it's like, okay, if I'm going to make you a citizen, you make me a citizen. So we did a double whammy. So that's why
Nice.
I'm here. Anyway, so we both hold dual citizenship. And that's my little boy in the background. School starts for him in 2 days. So I'm playing Mr. Mom. Not to
Nice.
go off on a tangent, but I just want to get your advice. I think in looking at your videos and stuff, I think things resonate, but are not quite there, or it's not 100% my situation. The way I look at it is I have a contract. I can amend that contract to be company to company. The company has no problem wiring me in money into a US dollars account in Chile that I can convert automatically. It's fine.
Yeah, no situation's ever cookie cutter the same. Some are very similar, but this is different. And this is a little tricky. So there's like room for interpretation, but generally if you want to take the foreign earned income exclusion, which is where you exclude all of the income and don't pay tax on it, then you have to be paying tax in Chile anyways. So I think the tax rates are a little bit higher than they are here, personal tax rates.
Yeah, it's 35%.
Okay, so 35%, and you are going to be paying taxes in Chile no matter what, right?
Yeah, I can pay myself as an employee.
So that's probably the best way to do it is have a Chilean company, get paid to that company, and then pay all of it out as wages to yourself, and then have no company profits. And that's how you can, and basically have the company break even every year, and then all the profits just paid to yourself in salary. And that's the way that you can, probably like the most correct way to pay the least taxes, because doing it that way, you can take the foreign earned income exclusion and the foreign tax credit for whatever's left, or you can take whatever's better in the US and you won't pay any taxes because there won't be employment taxes either. If you use an S Corp and you're still paying taxes there, it's a little trickier because then you're supposed to pay payroll like regular US payroll as well. So it's much cleaner if you can manage doing it from a foreign company. And it's much easier to just make all the money in that company, pay your taxes there, and then pay everything out in wages, and then you can exclude everything in the US. But you can't keep retained earnings and profits in that company.
Yeah. The thing is, where I run into issues is that I'm an American citizen and a Chilean citizen. Okay.
What's the most important is that you're living and working in Chile, so they have the rights to tax you more than in the US because you're not working or living in the US.
Right. Now, the good news is that, for example, if I go to a supermarket or something like that, the way I set up the SPA, okay, in terms of if I make it a very broad scope of trading, for example, I'll just give you an example of in-country. They ask me at the cash register if I'm buying something.
Yeah, you need invoices for everything.
It's not crazy because if you say factura, it basically means you're running it through a company, you write a check. So that is one way, unless I'm wrong, but I'm not expecting you to be a Chilean expert on this, but what I've been told by people that own their own businesses and consulting businesses, for example, as SPAs, is that there's an enormous amount of things they can write off just to write down the heavy amount of taxes.
It's just like a U.S. business. You just write off the expenses, except there you need proof. Here, you don't need proof unless they ask you for it, and the chances of getting asked for it are really low. So you can still write stuff off here. One problem that I that I didn't really think about until just now is that the VAT taxes, the IVA that you have to pay out there in Chile, I don't know if when you receive money from a foreign person paying you, if the government is going to withhold 20% off the top and then you pay taxes on it. I'm not really sure how that works. That's why I have a lot of people in other countries who use US LLCs so that they can receive all of their money and receive it right away and then spend dollars in Chile and not have to pay any of those IVA taxes. But I don't know how, like, with your wife's...
When you say IVA, you're talking about Brazil or like a VAT?
No, I'm talking about the value-added tax, IVA. They call that IVA. And it's like impuesto de valor that you pay on money that comes in. In the U.S., you just receive your payments, but in other countries, like in Colombia and Chile and I think Ecuador as well, when you pay contractors outside of the country or when you get paid from clients outside of the country specifically, they will withhold, the bank will just withhold taxes when you receive the money.
Yeah. The difference is, Jim, is that I'm just getting simply commission. The actual mothership in the United States is doing the direct billing. So I'm not effectively, I'm not reselling their product.
That's fine. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if it's a
Oh.
product. It just matters any payment that comes in for services or whatever. I think that if you have the Chilean
Yeah.
company, they just withhold taxes no matter what.
Yeah, they make me file quarterly, no matter what. And that's similar to US. But I don't think they withhold if it's, unless you're an employee, they withhold.
They have payroll taxes for employees, but I thought maybe it's Peru. You can confirm with an account out there, but if there's no like VAT taxes, like sales taxes on services from people paying you outside the country, then using the Chilean company is probably best.
Yeah.
Using the S Corp, you can do that, but then it gets tricky with how you pay taxes in Chile because you want to pay taxes and do it correctly out there. It sounds like.
Yeah, if it's in, well, the thing is, I will be billing at the end of every month. Let's say, for lack of a better word, deals, that close deals, for example. And there's a commissionable aspect to that. I'll be billing for XYZ job, et cetera, a commission. So that effectively will come back to me, either a direct wire, for now at least, for a direct wire to my personal account. And I'm trying to migrate that into some sort of a commercial business financial vehicle, for lack of a better word. And that's why.
Yeah, for income, if you were to do nothing, I think better would be an LLC S Corp, because then you can save on some payroll taxes depending on how much you're making. And then probably even better than that, depending on the tax, how it works is in Chile, would be getting paid through that Chilean company and paying everything out in salary.
Yeah. All right. So the ideal vehicle, so assuming there's growth beyond just me paying a commission, if we start doing business in country, let's say, for example.
You are doing business in country, right? You're there.
Yeah, but the thing is that we're sourcing either from overseas, let's say China, Vietnam, et cetera, on larger business, or in country, smaller business, like in Mexico, where we're just passing through the frontier.
But you're getting paid for your work and your commissions by another company, though.
Yeah, and I don't want to confuse things. The whole idea is that as an individual, I can't financially support a transaction this large. So I need that entity up there to basically deal with their suppliers or our suppliers. Okay?
Sure. Yeah,
so
you should have a number.
I don't want any part of that. It's like I set up the deal, I close the deal, I bill the commission. I got to bill the commission either way as an independent contractor with just a personal name. It's probably how it's going to happen in the beginning. And then trying to set up a more sustainable or long-term financial vehicle, whether it be, making direct payments to an SPA down here. I pull down taxes from there. And really, there's no reason for a U.S. entity unless they're trying to connect the source and me as a U.S. citizen, where I don't want to be paying individual taxes as my own employee here, and as well as income, profit, and I report when I file taxes in the United States. I have to file taxes in the U.S.
So here's how it works. If you get paid in your personal account, when you file your tax at the end of the year, it's like you have a Schedule C, like your own side business, and you can claim a credit for all the taxes paid in Chile, and you get that for your income taxes, but you'll still have to pay payroll taxes, which is like the 14.3% on the net income of your operations. So that would still be there as a Schedule C if you receive it personally. You can avoid that by getting paid through payroll in Chile instead of getting paid through the U.S., because that's where you're going to get double taxes on the payroll taxes, it looks like. So that's why you have to make sure that if you pay it through a salary through a Chilean company and then report it as foreign wages instead of just income earned there personally, that's how you're going to save some taxes. All
right. So my old company, which was a big multinational, they had a foreign representative that was basically a lawyer that set up employees, and they were an in-country entity that managed payroll taxes and things of that nature, created statements. And
you probably have to find a local accountant. There should be one out there, and open a company and just invoice them through that company, and then run everything through that company you open out there.
Yeah, I'm not just, the idea is I just don't want to continue. I just want to get hammered in taxes on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you're going to avoid paying any taxes in the U.S. is depending on your level of income and the level of taxation in Chile. But if you have a company there that pays you a salary and you have no income left in your company at the end of the year, yes, you have a to file more complicated forms and more informational forms in the US, but you won't have to pay any additional taxes. And it's possible that based on the rates and the numbers, you'll have additional foreign taxes paid that you can carry forward and use in future years.
Yeah, and the one thing just to mention is that the threshold for the highest tax bracket here in Chile is much lower.
Yeah, I think that's higher out there.
Like, you only have to make 2 or 3 million pesos to reach the max. This was set up in a way that their employers are basically low paid.
No, so the company gets more, I mean, the country gets more taxes. That's
Right.
that's what they want.
It's my gringo side talking and whatever.
Yeah, just like I said, I think that's the best way to do it is with the company in Chile, just based on your situation. But I would talk to 2 or 3 accountants over there to confirm that there's no IVA, and they'll know what you're talking about when you say that. No value-added taxes taken out when you receive your payment, because if that's an extra 20% on top of the 35 you're paying, then it might make sense to do something different. And even if it's like maybe a little higher risk, because that gets you to 55% taxes, and that's that's how it is in Colombia.
Yeah. And any idea, just to assist you, any opinions on a W8 ESC, that form?
ESC?
W8-ESC.
I don't think there's, I don't know.
But it's like
there's not an ESC. There's a lot of WA forms. I've never heard of an ESC. ECI?
Oh, I'm sorry. ECI. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the form for you. You're always giving a W-9. You're a citizen, so you're not any W-8. You're W-9. If you open a company if you open a company and it's a pass-through company, I think you can still give them a W-9. But you wouldn't really.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you open a company in Chile, then that would be the only way you can give a W-8. But really, you don't want to give a W-8 to someone who's paying you, because if they're paying you from the U.S., a W-8 means they might withhold taxes in the U.S. and you're a U.S. person, so you shouldn't have any taxes withheld.
In the contract, it's very clear that they're not paying expenses, nothing. There's no withholding. So I don't want to get them in trouble either, so basically it should be just a wire overseas. That way they don't have to prove to the IRS that I'm not an employee.
No, you give them a W-9 and it's fine. It's just weird. It's just, it's weird from that, because if they give you a 1099 to your name, but it all got paid to a foreign company, it's not the end of the world. You can always explain to the IRS what you did if they ever ask for it, if there ever is a mismatch of information. And since it actually did go to that account and everything, it would be fine. They might ask, but yeah, I guess you do the W-9 with the. That's a really weird situation. I've never had that question before. The W-8 or the W-9 for a citizen that owns a foreign company.
Yeah, I looked into the code, and the code is also a little bit
it's a foreign pass-through though, so it's really weird. And the code and all the IRS instructions are pretty bad for these forms. For you, it's clearly a W-9, but for a foreign company that you set up, I would just give them a W-9 anyways and then deal with it afterwards, because it's worse for them to withhold taxes and then you have to figure out how to get the money back than.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the whole W-8 thing was founded for foreign NGOs and things like that.
It's just for any foreign person. It's for any foreign person getting paid by a U.S. person. The U.S.
I should say it's heavily used by NGOs and foundations overseas, I should say.
Right now, the W-8s are being used by literally every foreign person that has an LLC is giving W-8s, and any foreign person getting paid by a U.S. person is giving a W-8.
Okay, just to summarize, I know your time is valued. So what do you imagine now? Yeah.
Just to summarize, I think that if you wanted to summarize for me, that your understanding?
My understanding is that, okay, fill out the W-9, get the W-9, and say, okay, we're going to not go down the road of W-8 right now. Create an SPA here, write off as much as possible. And where I'm like losing a little bit is that, okay, do I create a company in the U.S. where somehow I could either, because I have family in the United States.
You can open a company and open bank accounts without going to the U.S. I do it for people all the time. I do it for foreign people, and you're a U.S. citizen, so it's even easier.
Yeah. The whole idea really is to be able to push money back and forth as well. But I think for now, as we start the venture, is basically fill out the W-9, be as an employer, open an SPA, open a commercial account here, as much off as I can, And then maybe in the future, as things progress, we consider the options as far as a U.S. sort of corporation.
Yeah,
If I
I
do
think
start traveling to U.S., for example, I'll give you a great example here real fast. In Miami, there's a ton of multinationals, okay, that are in the Blue Lagoon area there, like big Diageo's, Toshibas, et cetera, or in the Doral area. So the thing is that those would be potentially my client, and I would actually bill them. And because they're normally dealing with venture markets in places outside of Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, they're managing that marketing effort there because I'm providing marketing material. So the whole idea is that if I do have an entity in the U.S. in the future, then I could actually bill them directly and migrate away from just being a paid employee from right now.
Yeah, that's how you should definitely do it. You'll be able to pay less taxes, have more control of your taxes, and have more flexibility in how you get paid. Because some companies, if you say, hey, I can get paid in Chile or in the US, they'll say, oh, great, we'll pay you this way. So that way you make it a little more flexible for yourself. Obviously, if you move back or if you do for work you do here, you should get paid to your US company, but that'll just allow you more flexibility in your operations and also allow you to pay less taxes. But for now, while you're living full-time and working in Chile, using the Chilean company is probably the way to do it. And I think it only gives you more, like you said, flexibility and options in the future. And for example, if you had a U.S. company that you had been using for the last couple of years, you probably would have qualified for a bunch of government money. They're giving out money the last year and a half to everybody, free long-term business loans, and everyone's getting money out here. So I was saying, if you had a U.S. company already, you'd qualify for some of that free money probably.
Yeah, if I was a VC or a coder, I'd be in Miami right now.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Your Mayor Suarez is going ballistic, talking things with Bitcoin and all that junk.
Oh yeah, it's very exciting times out here. They're doing a lot of
good stuff. You got Elon there making holes in the ocean and whatever. I don't know. It's crazy.
One of the last voting things we had, it was maybe like 2 years ago. We had a vote here for the elections, whatever, not the presidential ones, but before that. And they had these bills packed up where we had to vote on offshore drilling, but it was packaged with indoor vaping. So it was either we allow offshore drilling and we make indoor vaping illegal, or indoor vaping is illegal, but that people can do offshore drilling. And those things were packaged together. It was pretty absurd to me when I saw it.
Just as a U.S. citizen, not to drag us on, but as a U.S. citizen, I wonder, did they pass that bill, the $2 trillion? Pelosi, what's her name?
Yeah, they'll get that passed. They'll get passed. It's 1.9.
It's still being kicked around. I would love to see what's buried inside that bill. You know?
Yeah, it's like the one that Trump passed too. Is like 1,500 pages, and they passed it in 3 days, and no one's reading the whole thing.
I think they snuck a few things in, things going to Pakistan.
Pork,
aid going to Pakistan and stuff like that.
But the last one that Trump did in 2018 was tough for people like yourself, because if you don't pay out all of your profits with your company in Chile, then you might end up paying double taxes on the profits, the retained earnings in the company. That's why I said make sure you pay it all out in wages and just have a break-even company.
Okay.
And when you have that, your tax filings, you have to include that on the tax filings. It's a pretty important form. And it's important to do all of that right, because the penalties are really high. Like for that informational form, let's say your company in Chile has zero profits. If you don't report it, it's a $25,000 penalty. And if you file late, they'll just hit you with the $25,000 penalty. Important to know about that. I do a lot of those forms for people. Yeah,
be right on it. I think that we're going to be probably talking on a paid basis in the future. But for now, I'll take this good advice and just run it by someone local. Just say, yeah, you're probably right. Because I have a feeling there's not many Americans down here. I don't know why. I think there's like a hidden border. If you go past Colombia, they think everyone's a narco. I don't know why, or cartel.
Yeah, I know Chile is a wonderful place, and they have a great country. Yeah. It's a safe place. There's a lot to do, but I don't hear a lot of people traveling there. People go to Argentina sometimes, but it's pretty far.
Yeah, 8.5 hours, the same as Italy. For some reason, north-south scares people. I don't know why. Anyway, I won't make any more value judgments.
No, it's okay. No, thanks for your time and for doing the call. This is the Zoom calls. I think hopefully we help someone else too.
Absolutely. All right. I think we'll be in touch in the future. I appreciate your time.
Likewise, Kelly. Thanks for your time, and have fun with the kids on the last day before school.
All right, buddy. Take care now.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. So I think that video went well. If you are a U.S. person living outside of the country, the key takeaways here are that you need to be worried about double taxation. First, you need to file in the U.S. And if you receive money in your personal account, you're going to get hit with payroll taxes in the U.S., self-employment taxes. And if you have an S corp, it's tricky because you're supposed to pay yourself a salary. The best way is how I explained it to Kelly, is that you should have a local company and then make it have no profits and pay everything out to yourself in salary. And that's the way to do it. It's like the right way to do it, because you're working there, you're operating there, pay it all out in salary, then you pay your taxes there, and you should be able to, unless the tax rates are really low, get a credit for everything you pay in the U.S. there in the U.S. So you wouldn't have any extra U.S. taxes to pay. So I hope this video was helpful, especially if there's other Chilean expats wondering about their taxes. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate you, and I will see you guys on the next video. I have a lot of stuff coming up. I don't remember exactly all of it off the top of my head, but stay tuned, and I'll update you more every day as I do more videos. Okay? Thank you so much.